Welcome to the final episode of the Scaling Wall podcast series. Over the last few weeks, we've talked about release bottlenecks, trust breakdowns, the scaling wall, basically all the reasons testing teams don't sleep well at night. And today, we want to take a step back and ask a bigger question. What actually separates good testing organizations from great ones? Not the LinkedIn version, but the answer to the real deal. So, joining me, we have Avinash, the co founder of Pcloudy, and Jessica, who's spent years inside large scale testing teams. So, let me start with something very simple. To the both of you, after working with hundreds of teams, what surprised you the most about the best ones?
Honestly, how unimpressive they look on paper. They don't always have the biggest budgets, they don't always have the fanciest tools. In fact, some of the most frustrated teams we see are actually the best funded ones.
So, that's already sounding so uncomfortable already.
Yeah, and I'll add this. Some of the leanest teams actually end up shipping faster than teams that are three times their size, right? Which sounds illegal, but it keeps happening. Let me give you an example. So, we worked with two teams last year around the same time. Team A was a Series C, fintech, massive budget, and every tool you can name. And it had a dedicated QA org of about 40 people. And Team B was a six-person mobile team at an e-commerce company. So that had no dedicated QA and engineers owned the testing, right? So guess which team shipped faster? It was Team B by a lot. And Team A had more tests, more dashboards, more process, but the system was fighting itself. And every so called improvement actually created a bottleneck. And Team B had less, but whatever they had worked together.
And that's the pattern. It's not about the resources, it's about whether your system compounds or competes.
Right. So it's not the resources, it's not the people, it's not the budgets. What is it then?
It's something more subtle. More testing orgs build improvements that quietly fight with each other and creates disruption.
Okay. So what do you mean by fight each other?
Yes. Think about the common moves teams make. You speed things up, the coverage drops. You add automation, the maintenance explodes. You add dashboards, now you are staring at charts instead of answers. Every improvement creates drag somewhere else.
Yeah. It's kind of like squeezing a balloon. You fix one problem and another one pops up, and it usually ends up on a Friday evening.
So it's always happens on a Friday evening.
Yeah.
Exactly. The system competes with itself.
Right.
But in a great testing org, something different happens. Speed doesn't reduce quality, it creates space for better decisions.
Okay.
And better decisions improve results. Better results accelerate learning.
Right.
Faster learning improves everything else. In this way, the system compounds.
Okay. So instead of trade-offs, you get something even better.
Yeah. You end up getting momentum, right? And once you feel that momentum, it's really impossible to go back.
So let's get concrete. You both have seen teams make that transition. What actually changes?
It usually comes down to three shifts.
Okay.
Shift one is about moving from test count to time to confidence. So in this shift, teams stop asking how many tests did we run, and instead they start asking how fast can we trust this build.
Right. And that question actually rewires everything, right? Because now flaky tests aren't just minor issues. They're seen as actively slowing down confidence.
Right. So it's more like a lot of noise.
Exactly. In fact, expansive noise.
Right.
Next is shift two, where teams move from automating execution to automating decisions.
Well, this one sounds interesting. What do you mean this in practice?
Uh, Most teams automate running tests, but the great teams automate judgment.
Right.
That's the main difference. So, which tests should run for this change? which failures actually matter to the team, which builds should be gated and which should not.
Right.
Right.
And otherwise, humans just become traffic cops for automation, right? And that's not why anyone actually got into testing.
Right. That's true. I mean, no one wakes up thinking, I can't wait to manually triage 400 failures today.
Yeah, not even once.
Third one is my favorite. It's moving away from dashboard to figuring out answers. So in this phase, the teams stop building dashboards and start delivering answers. It's not about here is the data, good luck, go figure it out.
Right.
But here is what broke, here is why, and here is what to do next.
Right. And that's the difference between visibility and clarity.
Yeah, exactly. And dashboards actually feel productive, and the answers you get are productive.
Right. So, I mean, what happens to teams when they make all these three shifts?
Yeah, it's the holy grail. Testing stops being friction,
Right.
it becomes acceleration. Teams stop arguing about releases, they stop negotiating quality.
Yeah.
They stop treating testing as the anchor,
Right.
dragging everything down.
Right.
Yeah. And that's when we see trust come back, right? Which sounds soft, but trust is actually what lets teams move on fast without fear.
Absolutely agree with what you're saying. So we've covered a lot this month. We've spoken about scaling walls. We've spoken about how trust is collapsing and the release bottlenecks. And now this maturity leap that we discussed. What's the thread that connects all of it?
We started all this in the week one. It's about speed, intelligence,
Right.
and insight working together instead of competing. And that's what we are building at Pcloud. We haven't solved everything, we are far from it. Testing at scale is genuinely hard.
Right.
But we have seen what's possible when systems compound instead of fight.
Right.
So
Right.
teams that trust their tests, teams that ship with confidence, and teams where testing accelerates delivery instead of delaying it. That's the goal at Pcloud.
I mean, that's a really great place to end. And, we'll continue the conversation further in other podcasts as well. But I think that's a great place to end. So if this resonated with you, we'd love to hear what's the biggest testing challenge your team is facing right now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.